scared me.
Whoa. A lot of dudes pretend to have that dog in them. Rashawn Gary might actually just have a dog inside of him.
Stop playing around! Once again! Punch the ticket!
Do not go to the vet until after the season, Rashawn. Welcome to your Week 17 NFL Power Rankings. I'm Brendan Perna. It's a day late, I know, but I wasn't going to work on Christmas, especially with 2 games being played that day between 4 power-ranked teams. Now, last week, the curse wheel landed in between the... We're going to start in heaven. Receiving the healing light of heaven this week is Tank Dell. His knee injury looked horrific. Then we learned it was actually as bad as it looked, as Tank tore his ACL, MCL, LCL, and meniscus. That's every fucking ligament around your knee, and he may not be back until 2026. That is brutal, and I am absolutely gutted for the guy, and I just hope he can recover well enough to return to the field. In Purgatory, I think it's the Dolphins as the middle bubble team in the AFC. They need the Broncos and Colts to lose, and even though the Bengals are behind them, it feels like the Dolphins really need the Bengals to lose as well. And in hell this week, I think it's officially the Steelers who finally know what it's like to be on the ride. Welcome to the Russell Wilson did nothing on Christmas club, Steelers fans. The Steelers have now lost 3 games in a row by double-digit points, something they haven't done since 1988. Yes, they have played formidable opponents, the Eagles, Chiefs, and Ravens, but we all noted we were about to find out who the Steelers really were once they got to the end of that gauntlet. Now we know, they are frauds, and Russell Wilson is back to taking 5 fucking sacks a game. I'd like to say he's back to turning the ball over at the worst possible time, but he's really been doing that all season for the Steelers. They just been bailing him out. And I know George Pickens didn't run a route on Russ's red zone pick, but Russ still needs to see what the safety is actually doing on that play. We're about number 14, the Texans. You scored 2 points on Christmas. That's all I should fucking say right now. Number 13, the Broncos. I have major concerns for the Broncos, and it's their defense, which ranks 31st in the NFL if you're just looking at the month of December. The good news is the Broncos get Riley Moss back at corner. The bad news? An entire defense shouldn't suddenly shit the bed just because one player's out with injury. With the Bengals on the docket, I do not expect Denver's defense to look much better this weekend, even with the return of Moss. After a scary neck injury back in September, running back Tyler Bidet is returning to the lineup as well. His last name has gone from Beatty to Batty to Beatty again to Bidet, back to Beatty, back to Bidet. Denver needs Bidet to be their X factor in the run game, and like his name suggests, wash the stink off what's been a very disappointing December for my team. Number 12, the Buccaneers. The Cowboys defense did a nice job making Bucky Irving look very average. I think the Cowboys defense is currently surging right now, and while I know the Bucs are better than the Falcons, I do not know for sure that they are better than the Falcons with Michael Penix at QB. The Buccaneers better hope Dan Quinn brings the wrath of God with him in the form of the revenge dagger as he leads the Commanders against the Falcons this weekend. Baker Mayfield needs to eliminate his interceptions. He has 6 in the last 4 games, with at least 1 every week. He's doing so many things well. If he just cleans up that one thing, Tampa can hang with anyone, but they need a little help right now. Number 11, the Chargers. Honestly, I almost put you at 1, Chargers. I have to credit the Chargers social media team for putting Tom Grossi and I in their video. That's what you get, Jim. Earthworm Jim. And even though it was because I was saying dumb things, you featured me before the Broncos social media team. Hell, I can't even get a follow from my own team. So I have just one thing to say.
Go Chargers, go!
That son of a gun, Jim Harbaugh, foiled me. Number 10, the Bengals. Please don't be as good as I think you are. Please don't be as good as I think you are. Please don't be as good as I think you are. Please don't be as good as I think you are, Cincinnati. Coming in at 9.5, today's sponsor, Underdog. Just make sure you use my code, that's good. If you're going to sign up and play Underdog, you can play fantasy game. These are crazy. These are crazy picks. I do not suggest you do these picks because I went for some unlikely things to hit here because I'm in desperation mode for my Broncos. But we're just 729 underdog signups away from hitting 5,000 signups on the season. I said I'll give you till the end of December, but I'll give you until the end of the regular season for us to hit 5,000. And then I bring back the monkey tail beard for the playoffs, where I look just great. Number 9, the Commanders. The Commies are still in the hunt for the NFC East, but they can actually get into the playoffs before they kick off on Sunday night against the Falcons if the Panthers beat the Buccaneers, which doesn't exactly feel far-fetched at this point. I'm not sure this is the number one reason Washington is playing so well, but they've actually gotten a huge boost from their special teams, especially the job that rookie wideout Luke McCaffrey has been doing in the return game. He only has 168 yards receiving this year, but he's averaged 30 yards a run back on just 9 attempts in recent games, and he was constantly setting the Commanders up for good field position in that comeback against Philly. Who would have thunk that the most impactful McCaffrey in 2024 would have been the one wearing number 12 in burgundy and gold? Probably Christian, who knew his legs were dead before the season started. Number 8, the Rams. The Rams can clinch the NFC West as early as Saturday evening with a win over Arizona and a Seattle loss, or if things play out, they could get a win in a strength of victory tiebreaker clinch over the Seahawks based on how the Sunday slate unfolds. Now, we've heard plenty about Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua this season, but I think the secret sauce in these close scoring games has been the way running back Kyren Williams has grinded out yards. He's a distant third behind Saquon and Derrick Henry, but Williams is the third leading rusher in the league right now with 1,243 yards. He's got 15 total touchdowns too. He's been a workhorse and has given the Rams another dimension for when they can't win the game through the air, which has happened a few times this season. Number 7, the Eagles. All right, first of all, just chill, Eagles fans. Just chill for a second. Falling to 7 has very little to do with how good I really think your team is. It's more about the fact that the Packers, Chiefs, and Ravens just beat the ever-living shit out of their opponents, and your quarterback's hurt. Jalen Hurts remains in concussion protocol. Kenny Pickett has a rib injury, and you signed Ian Book as an insurance policy. If you file a claim on that policy, it will be denied. Coming in at 666, the Chiefs. No turnovers for the Chiefs in the last 6 games. Something that hasn't happened since 1960. They handed the Steelers their 6th loss. 6-6-6. Right on cue.
Fuck him!
Their defense turned it up to 11 just like they do every December with Steve Spagnuolo. None of that surprises me or even scares me. What should terrify everyone though, the Steelers didn't sack Patrick Mahomes once. If they figured out how to block on their edges, we're all fucked. Mahomes is getting rid of the ball at the fastest clip of his career, and I'm finally ready to admit, go fuck yourself, Kansas City, you
Fuck him, Garrett! From the streets, you're
Number 5, the Ravens. Fresh off destroying the Texans so thoroughly that I'm legit wondering if this CJ Stroud meme is real. The Ravens are poised to lock up the 3 seed in the AFC. Lamar Jackson only threw the ball 15 times in their 31-2 victory. You only scored 2 points, Houston. Dear God. However, on just 15 tries, Lamar threw 2 touchdowns, and he and Derrick Henry combined for roughly 230 of the team's 250 rushing yards. Keaton Mitchell didn't do much in the run game in place of the injured Justice Hill, but you saw his explosiveness on his 1 reception that went for 28 yards. Lamar Jackson currently has a passer rating of 121.6 on the season, which is the 2nd highest ever, sandwiched between Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers, which is also where you will find aliens if they are real. Lamar surpassed Mike Vick in career rushing yards, and he did it in 41 fewer games. Here's what still concerns me though. The last good team Baltimore defeated was the Chargers on November 25th. Philly beat them on December 1st. Then it was wins against the Giants, Steelers, and Texans. Yes, 2 playoff teams, but those 2 playoff teams are nosediving at an alarming rate. Until Lamar defeats the Chiefs in the playoffs, nobody will really give a fuck about what he did this regular season. Number 4, the Packers. The Green Bay Packers pitched the first shutout of the NFL season on Monday night. The Saints are terrible, and Green Bay showed just how down bad New Orleans really is. Essentially, the Packers played a perfect game. They scored 34, they gave up 0, they had 400 plus yards of offense while not turning the ball over, or putting it on the ground, or allowing a sack, or missing any kicks. And they held the Saints to under 200 yards of offense. The Packers defense forced 2 turnovers, and yes, white safety Zane Anderson got an interception, but guys, we don't count safeties. It's just a corner tracker. The Packers defense is really peaking at the right time. Rookie Edrin Cooper is pretty good. In the last 2 games, he has 17 tackles, 3 for a loss, a sack, a pick, and a couple pass breakups plus 8 stops. Now, I talked about their run game and winners and losers, but their defense is complementing the shit out of that nasty run game. Number 3, the Vikings. The Vikings were 5-2 before TJ Hawkinson returned to the lineup halfway through the season. Since he's gotten on the field, Minnesota has gone 8-0 with him catching 34 passes in that octet of victories. Now that doesn't seem like a ton, but he's an incredible third option to have after you feed Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, who have combined to account for exactly 50% of the Vikings' passing targets in 2024. Now, the Vikings and Packers have split the season series every year for the past 4-5 seasons. This will be the 5th season, but I will believe in you, Skull, if you actually sweep the Red Hot Packers team this year, which you get a shot to do this weekend. Shout out to Zach Cruz for maybe the nicest, most level-headed tweet I have ever seen about an upcoming divisional matchup ever. Number 2, the Lions. David Montgomery simply continued to see doctor after doctor until he was cleared to play at some point this season. Which doctor finally cleared David Montgomery Burns the defense?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
He might be back for the divisional round, Montgomery, as he rehabs through that torn MCL. Besides being a tough runner, David Montgomery is excellent in pass protection and blitz pickups. You worry about that if he's not on the field in the postseason. Injuries have been the story for the Lions over the last month or so, but here's a list of when some of their key players might return. We know if they do make it to the Super Bowl, Aiden Hutchinson plans to return. Also, Carlton Davis could be back for the championship game after breaking his jaw. Another corner, Ennis Rakestraw, probably could be back for the playoffs. Linebacker Alex Anzalone, first round for the playoffs. Linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maybin could possibly return week 18. Graham Glasgow could be back Monday night for the 49ers game, and Khalif Raymond has a 1 to 3 week window for his return. With every win, the Lions could get just a little bit stronger. What I love is that no matter what, we know Dan Campbell is bringing it.
We're bringing everything we got to this game, and we are playing, and I don't care what it looks like and where it's at or who's this, who's that. We're going out to play and win this game out on the West Coast.
And number 1, it's the Bills, because I have to believe one team can actually defeat Kansas City in the postseason, and since I do not trust the Ravens, it's the Bills. Josh Allen played his worst game since October against the Texans, and the Bills still survived the Patriots. The reason Buffalo can win and win ugly this postseason is running back James Cook. He has 300-yard performances in the last 4 games with 5 total touchdowns, 14 total rushing touchdowns this season. Last year, Cook had that insane game against the Cowboys week 14, 3 TDs, 179 yards, and over 200 yards from scrimmage. That was a major outlier because from week 15 through the playoffs, Cook didn't have a single 100-yard game. He didn't score a single touchdown in that 5-game stretch, and he was getting more carries in those games. He's playing a lot better than a season ago, and I really believe he's the guy they need to lean on right now, even if it ultimately costs Josh Allen his MVP. More Cook. Now let's spin the curse wheel. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. We love you too, Curse Wheel. We were just kidding. We still think you work. We still think you're real. I'm gonna spin it this way though. Don't forget, if you want to get any of the cursed logos you see here, they're available at benchwarmershop.com. DatCam. Rachel, thank you so much for designing those this season. What do we got? 8. Who's at 8? The Rams? Uh-oh. Who do the Rams play? That's a boring curse. Nobody cares about the Rams at 8. I seriously don't even think we'll see a single Rams fan complain about this in the comments. Thanks for watching Power Rankings, the dumbest Power Rankings show here on YouTube. Please subscribe here. The channel's called That's Good Sports.